Hey comic book fans, today we're talking about a new title called Lost Fantasy. Now I've been seeing this series, get a lot of hype and a lot of buzz and being talked about, but I never really got around to reading it myself until now. And it did not disappoint me. It comes off because I also read novels, right? So when I read this, when I opened it and I read it, if you are into like urban fantasy, with a little bit of like grimdark into it, this is definitely the type of story for you. But this is definitely the style that they're going for. And the story opens up in a very gruesome situation. You got this little girl running through the woods with blood covered on her, and a man stops her and he's asking her like what's going on, and then the dude gets completely and absolutely destroyed. I mean, body just severs in half, like if something just came across his body and just turned him into two pieces. And then the little girl, she keeps running, and then that's when we get this unfortunate outcome, because the people wasn't watching the road and the girl just ran out there and blam, right? That happens. And that's a very interesting way to open the story. But first of all, it's intriguing because they don't show you what's running after her, and they show you like she doesn't come out of it completely unharmed. And that's when we get this guy, right? The next page, we get this guy. He's laid out on the couch. There's drinks. It's a complete mess on the floor. You got other people laid out on the other side of the room, and this guy gets a call. Now, my first instinct when I first saw this character, right, is he's the typical type of character, like those classic characters with like the white hair, right? And it spreads across fantasy. It starts with Elric, then you had Witcher, and then you had Dante from Devil May Cry, and then you had Gojo, right? These particular characters, which have the pale white hair, they have a certain type of attitude and tone to them, right? He's very that type of character. And he gets a call that says, it's happening again. And that's when he just simply teleports from where he was to where he needs to get. And they show you, without telling you, that this guy's obviously a certain level of power. And that's when we get this awesome backstory, right? We get the lore behind, what's going on. And humans made a deal with the world under, right? And between like the fantasy world, right, there's this otherworldly realm dimension, and to pretty much you guys keep your side and we keep our side safe, right? And there's this pact, this deal made, and you had these guardians that it's their job to do so. And it even talks about how things are intertwined and how they play into our society as well. These beings from the like underworld, right? And they even go over, which I thought was cool, the main beings, right? The main houses, the main famous names that are, it's their job, right, to do so. These guardians, these families, these famous names, right, that are included in this. And it just comes to show how dedicated the creators was to this world. And we even get more of the lore on that, and the main character, how he was just found. He was just a baby, he was in the woods, he was found, he had white hair, and the magic that he has is they pretty much call it the old magic, right? The old school magic that doesn't seem to exist anymore, or that's not well used that much anymore. And how he was raised and trained and brought into the fold, and it brings us up to date on him today, which his name is Henry Blackheart, because he's from the Blackheart family, which is one of the main families that protect the mystical magic side from the regular realm. And you could tell this is going to be I would say an investigation mystery type story with mystical elements involved. and we get a little bit on what happened with the little girl. She snuck in the back seat of her older sibling's car while they was going out to party or something, but they was attacked by something that cannot be shown, that has been shown, and she tried to escape, and she nearly lost her life because she got hit by the car, but she's in a coma, right? So she's not dead, but she's not really with us either. And that's when we get this guy, right? This guy comes into the room. He reminds me, when I saw him, the voice that came into my head, I forgot his name, but that guy from the Ghost Rider movie, the horse, he was the first Ghost Rider. When I see this guy with the cowboy hat and mustache, his voice popped into my head when I saw this character. I don't know why that happened, but it did happen. And he pretty much just tells him, listen, we like to clean up stuff around here. We like to do things a certain way. We don't want to make a big buzz about it. Which when he said that, I said, that's very weird to say about this situation. I immediately did not trust him at all. But he is being led into the crime scene by one of the other police officers. And you can tell, Henry Blackheart, you could tell that he doesn't necessarily blend in with humans that much, just based off of his attitude and how he, talks to people, right? He very much acts otherworldly. He very much knows that he's not, the same as everybody else, and he treats them as such, right? That's the type of tone I got, and just by the few people he's talked to. And we get this, one-on-one between the deputy and the main sheriff. And, he calls him and tells him, yeah, he doesn't pretty much trust us. He's going to see about it himself. He's looking at the crime scene and everything else, and he thinks we lost something or we didn't catch something. And that's when the sheriff calls somebody. He decides to call somebody, tell them that we have a problem, which pretty much lets me know I was right. But then this tattoo on Henry Blackheart, right? It starts to light up. It was black at first, then it starts to light up. And that's when we get these dragons, right? These dragons that appear in front of him. And they have a very naughty mouth, not going to lie. But they appear in front of him. And this is the type of magic I did not expect in this story. For him to just summon dragons. But another thing I want to point out is the art in this story. It's very classic comic book, particularly when it came to fantasy style storytelling, right? It reminds me of the old Elric comic books. And as Henry was investigating, these mythical creatures come out of nowhere and they start to attack him. And he pulls out this massive sword. I know this is definitely fantasy. He pulls out this guts level dragon slayer freaking Final Fantasy Cloud, size sword. He summons it and just says, let's just start throwing hands, right? He's like, let's go. So you have this wyvern. I'll predict things a wyvern, not dragon. This giant rock monster and this hound from hell. And it's a 3v1 in this situation. I guess the dragons he summons can't particularly help him in the situation, but he ends up fighting all of them by himself. And only one can assume maybe these were the same type of creatures that, killed all those people that the girl was running from. And he ends up fighting all of them. And that's when we get these few pages of just awesome back and forth combat. And pretty much Henry Blackheart trying to survive this, ambush, this attack between them, which he's able to do. He's a well-trained person. He's a well-trained being along with his powers as well. And another thing that I picked up is that he's not very talkative at all, right? Even in battle, he's not sarcastic. He's not very much like a Dante, right? In this situation, he just saw that he was about to be attacked and he was like, all right, let's get this over with. Let's just do this. So I think overall, right, not just any situation, he's not a very talkative person. He's a man of few words, right? He speaks when he needs to speak. And another thing I noticed is when he swatted at the rock monster, the first time his sword didn't go through, but then he jabs in the second time and it actually works. So that, I feel like that lets me know that he has a lot more strength than, letting on. Like at first he was trying one way, and then he said, forget it, I'm gonna add more of my strength into it. And after he looks at the creature, he realizes that there was something used on them. They were summoned here for him specifically, and they're here to attack him. Right? He's being attacked not just by regular monsters, but by somebody else. And that's when we're seeing that he has a rifle pointed right at his dome piece. And as he talks about it, he's like, and then I get hit and everything goes black. And the story, or at least part one anyway, ends with him getting hit by a rifle and falling, collapsing, and dying from that. Because in the story it says that he's like, and I died. So I was like, this is a crazy way to begin and end the story, and I'm intrigued for more. And that's all I have for this video. Thank you guys for watching this video. Like, share, and subscribe for more. And thank you for watching.